He's the author of a book, From a Scum to a Son, a book read by thousands around the world. But there was a point when Joel Shunmugam wanted to end it all because of loneliness. He's here to tell us what happened next. Pastor Joel, thank you so much for joining us in Turning Point.
You're welcome.
Now, before we get to the point I was just talking about where you were so lonely you wanted to end it all, and this book, I wanted to ask you, there's a phrase I'd seen you mention or have read you mentioned about your growing up. I grew up in a normal Hindu family, and I wonder, what's a normal Hindu family?
Right. I was brought up as a Hindu. From the time I was born, I was raised up as a Hindu. Basically, we went through the same rituals or rituals that every Hindu goes through. All kinds of gods and different rituals that needs to be done on a yearly basis. And yeah, it was part of growing up. So I considered myself a part of a normal.
So now, paint a picture for us of what some of those rituals might be for someone who doesn't know.
Some of the stuff is that I used to carry this, they call it a kavadi. Kavadi is where you it's a ritual where you give thanks to God. It's almost like giving thanks to God, where you carry spikes in your body, 108 spikes on your body, and skewers through your cheek and your tongue, and just give thanks to God for what He has done or what He is about to do.
So giving thanks to God, you had to do those things. That was your thanks, by puncturing.
Exactly. So I had to pay a price to please God.
Wow. Okay. So for you then, I know that you went through some times of interesting turmoils.
That's right.
You end up in the army. Tell us about the transition between this young man who was living a normal Hindu life to ending up in drugs and depression.
Yeah, I was in the Navy in Singapore, where it's compulsory for every male child, once you reach the age of 18 years old, you have to be enlisted in the army. So I ended up with the Navy, and I was doing 3 years in there. But I was confined, basically. I had 2 of my pockets unbuttoned. So the sergeant major who came for inspection, he lifted my pockets and they were opened, and he gave me 3 weeks confinement for each pocket. So I ended up having 6 weeks of confinement, and I was in the island by myself. So,
Reverend, come on, you don't blame him. I mean, you're in the Navy, you're supposed to be immaculate, and you've got your pockets open. Come on, man. You probably do that to the deacons in church.
That's right. That's right, I do that. But apparently I was told to button, and on that particular day, I had forgotten to button up my shirt. So the sergeant major came for inspection. Mm-hmm. So, and I said, hey, and he told me, you're confined because you're not following the rules.
So what got so bad that made you want to commit suicide? Because, I mean, it sounded like you were just a normal young man going through life.
See, when the suicidal thoughts came when I was going through withdrawals, and the heroin that I had in my pocket was found out by my wife, and she threw it out of the window. So I was going through withdrawal, and I said, enough is enough, I'm going to end my life. So I climbed out the 10-story building and was about to throw myself off, and my wife Ruth just pulled me back in.
Now, there's a lot that's happened in your journey.
Yes.
And a bit of it you managed to capture in your book, From a Scum to a Son. But I'm interested in knowing where the Jesus thing came in and that turning point. And funny enough, I know that the man that preached to you, or preached in a forum where you got saved, is from a ministry called Turning Point.
That's right.
So tell us a bit about
that. That's right. That's interesting. His name is Doug Stringer. See, I got saved in Teen Challenge in Singapore, where I was forced to go into the program because I hit rock bottom. And I mean, how do I say this? When I was down there, I felt that my family didn't want me, they hated me, and they wanted me to go into this program. I said, okay. I went into this program in Teen Challenge. Mm-hmm. And within 2 weeks, there was this guy who was preaching the word. And I had this strange feeling, how does this guy know about me? I mean, I didn't know it was the Holy Spirit. I had no other spirit in me at that time. So until the Holy Spirit began to minister to me, and before I knew it, I went to the altar call and surrendered my life to Jesus. And because I had tried everything besides Jesus, so I tried Jesus, and that's it. Started weeping, and yeah.
And it's fascinating because, I mean, we capture in in just a few minutes a whole journey of a lifetime, because here you are now. This book, which captures a lot of your journey, prisoners are reading it in places like Indonesia. How did that happen?
It happened because when I was preaching in the church in New Westminster, two Indonesian ladies came up to me after the service, and they bought this book, and they were just bubbling with joy and say, "Pastor Joel, can we get this printed and translated in the Indonesian language, because we need the people out there to be set free from addiction?" I said, "Go for it. That's the whole purpose of this book." So
for someone who's watching, who maybe has a sibling that's on drugs and they've tried everything and it's frustrating for them, and they think he doesn't really want help. We've tried everything. He keeps hurting himself. What can you tell them, having come out of it, to encourage them in a moment like this?
I would say, first of all, don't burn the bridge. Be a bridge. Because I know it can be painful to see a sibling.
Don't burn the bridge, be a bridge.
That's right. Be a bridge to draw people over. And yeah, like my family, none of them gave up on me, even though I was hurting them, and I thought they were hurting me. They continued to show their love to me, and that's how I ended up in Teen Challenge. So be a bridge, never give up.
And how significant is it for you, the power of prayer and the Holy Spirit? Because you talk about a sister of yours who was the first seed.
Yes. That's mind-blowing, because 2 weeks before I got saved, I stole a bracelet and pawned it for drugs in Singapore. And I had to give the money back to the person whom I stole it from. They knew about it, so I had no money. So I called up my sister in UK, and I said, "Can you pray for me?" Her name is Esther. I said, "Can you pray for me?" I mean, no, I didn't say pray for me. I said, "Can you give me the money? Can you give me the money to redeem this jewelry and give it back?" And she was like, "No, I can't do that, but I can pray for you." I'm like, "What are you talking about? I need money, not prayer." And within 2 weeks, long story short, I hit rock bottom, went into the program in Teen Challenge and gave my life to Jesus. And then it made sense, the power of prayer.
Wow. Yeah. Reverend Joel, author of the book From a Scum to a Son, thank you so much for joining us on Turning Point.
Welcome. Pleasure to be here.